You know, when you've got that sore throat that you just can't seem to shift. Well, it is the season at the moment, isn't it? And I'm demonstrating that very nicely today. Well, I might just have the answer for you right here, or rather my fabulous guest might. Today, I'm very excited to be interviewing Alex Pearson from Manuka Direct. Manuka Direct is lucky enough to work with three amazing beekeepers in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, bringing the best genuine Manuka honey straight to you here in the UK. Indulgent, delicious, good for you, liquid gold. So, Alex, firstly, what is Manuka honey and why is it so special?
Hello, Becky, and thank you for having me on. And thank you for being such a lovely big believer in my Manuka honey. Manuka honey is 100% pure natural honey. I'm often asked, the questions I'm most often asked are, what is Manuka? Is it a special type of bee or is it an area? It's not, it's actually a plant. It's a shrub, a bush. It grows to sort of various heights and it grows wild in New Zealand. It doesn't grow wild here. It grows in vast swathes in New Zealand very naturally. Now, the secret of Manuka is it's part of the tea tree family, which is why it has higher medicinal values than normal honey. Hence, it's used medicinally. It tastes delicious, as you say, as long as you like honey. But the medicinal aspect comes from the tea tree family. Is that, I could talk for ages about that, but do you want to stop me there and ask me something
No,
else?
no, carry on. No, that's really, well, I find it really fascinating. So Manuka honey, is that, and they try and make it like so the bees just pollinate the Manuka plants, is that right? So it's just
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. So basically, bees, honey is a product of what the bees that make it are foraging. So I'm often asked as well, how, so the secret to Manuka honey is that it's monofloral honey. As you can imagine, most honey is multifloral honey. So monofloral honey is the product of one flower, as you say, if they're foraging one flower. How
yeah.
on earth do you get bees to do that, you might ask? Because bees will fly, generally speaking, they fly up to 3 miles to forage and pollinate, and that's their daily trip. Like most of nature, they're quite efficient, so they will get what they need as close as possible to conserve energy, but they will fly up to 3 miles. So to get monofloral honey of any description, it's the same with heather honey, thyme honey, borage honey, anything like that. The secret is that you give them no option, and that's why the Manuka honey comes from New Zealand. So we can grow it here. There's a little bit grown in Cornwall. It doesn't like our winters terribly, but it never grows wild in huge areas like it grows there. So it's a bit like you might see gorse here. So what we do is we take the bees to the Manuka. In New Zealand, it'll be as far as you can see is just Manuka. It flowers for about 5 or 6 weeks in their summer. So that's sort of the end of December to the beginning of February. So you take the bees to the Manuka whilst it's in flower. You leave them there. You obviously check them sort of weekly to make sure nothing awful's happened and blown over or knocked over, or they're not likely to swarm. And you leave it there for the 6 weeks. You then take the honey off when the Manuka stops flowering. So the bees can then either get moved somewhere else, or they can go off and forage whatever it is that comes into flower next, the clover, or as it would be there, but it might be, it might be here, it would be blackberry or ivy or whatever else they're going to forage, to give your bees the best chance of producing monofloral honey from one flower. You then take it away and it is lab tested to make sure it's monofloral and to make sure that it is Manuka. And they do that by testing certain levels of natural chemicals in the honey, which are the ones that give it the higher antiseptic and antibacterial levels, which are sort of higher than ordinary honey. So I'm a beekeeper as well myself, so I'm a massive fan of good local honey. I love that. We eat it an awful lot in the summer. We just tend to step up to Manuka when we've got the nasty sniffles. And as you say, I'm also demonstrating quite a croaky voice as well. And I'm on my higher grade honey at the moment. So that's just started this morning. That will help that. So I
Yeah.
hope
So
that takes you down.
so the Manuka honey is really good for sore throats. Is that right?
It is, yeah. Good. I mean, good honey anyway, as you know, has been used medicinally for centuries. So it's used topically. It's used to treat burns, to cuts and things like that. But it's also very, very good for sore throats and tonsillitis.
Oh yes,
And
I
the,
was reading about the
yeah,
burns thing, and I didn't know about that. I've known about, my mother's always, honey and lemon and ginger for colds, but I
yeah.
didn't know about the burns. That's really interesting.
Absolutely, yes. Well, as you say, any chemist that you ever go into will, any cough, cold, flu, sore throat remedy will always be honey and ginger. So there you go. Manuka has it in spades, but it's been used topically as well. So it's used for cuts and burns. So the NHS use it. It's not sort of a bit of a sort of white magic myth. It is very definitely scientifically proven, and they use so they put the high grade honey, they put the MGO 263 honey put it onto wound dressings, and it's used for widely in nursing homes on leg ulcers, also by nurses. It's used in burns units, and it's used post-operatively, particularly on children when they've had heart surgery. It's widely used for that because it's sort of
Wow.
it's the least, the most natural, the least invasive, but also the most effective. So it heals way quicker than anything else does. And I never have a day ever. I've never ever had a day selling honey where a nurse hasn't come to me to tell me how amazing the honey is.
Really? Oh, that is amazing. Oh, and for anybody who's interested, I will put the links to Alex's website so you can find out more of the details from her direct. Now, Alex, on your website, you have got some lovely recipes. What is your favorite sort of? Do you have like a favorite smoothie or recipe with your Manuka honey?
Yes, I do. So probably the one I use the most and the one I enjoy sharing the most is a lemon and ginger cordial. But that's probably because I'm coming from the medicinal aspect on that. It was a recipe that was given to me by a nutritionist friend of mine, who used it on countless COVID coughs where people really, really couldn't shift the cough. And it is not only the most fantastic immune booster, but it's also very, very soothing if you've got a cough that you can't shift. And it's just a super strength lemon and ginger basically made into a cordial. It also works really well as a sort of mocktail. It's quite zingy. One thing I must point out is that when anybody is using honey, Manuka honey particularly, in a drink to soothe a cough or a sore throat, it's very important that you make your drink first, you let it cool to drinking temperature or even tepid, and then stir your honey in afterwards. So if you pour boiling water over Manuka honey, it will reduce the properties significantly. So it's a really worthwhile thing to know.
Ah, I didn't know that. Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you for
That's
sharing.
very worth knowing. So that's sort of my most useful recipe in that it's sort of the most healing recipe. But what I love it in overnight oats. I'm a massive fan of overnight oats, and you can make that as simple or as complicated as you like. People seem to find it a bit of a mystery, but actually I more often than not throw in, especially if I'm out on the road as we all are, I'll throw a handful of frozen berries into a Tupperware, very unglamorous, throw in a few oats, a few nuts and seeds, whatever's lying around basically, possibly some coconut water, but even if the worst comes to the worst, just a little bit of water, or apple juice or orange juice, a dollop of yogurt. Again, lovely natural yogurt's great, but it could be kefir, it could be anything. And obviously the secret, a big dollop of Manuka honey on top.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to wherever you're going, take it to work with you, it's ready to go. So, I mean, if you're very organized, you can do it the night before, but if you're not, it doesn't much matter. So
That's
that's
brilliant. Yes, I love that idea. Yes, because we're all in a rush, aren't we? So
yeah,
yeah, you can just grab your breakfast before you leave the house, and then by the
yeah.
time you get to your destination, it's ready. That's perfect.
Exactly. And also we all, when you're sort of on the hoof a little bit, as we are at this time of year, and many people are all year, you can end up sort of being in situations where you're just grabbing rubbish food, which none of us actually really want to
Yeah.
do. The oats work really, really well. It's all fantastically nutritious and good for you, but it also keeps you really full and is easy to eat on the move. So that's
Yeah.
one of my favorites as
Yeah.
well, and
That's a
doesn't need too
brilliant
much
tip. I
time.
love that. Yes. So,
Um, and yes, the smoothies. I love the banana and blueberry smoothie with Manuka. That's delicious too.
mm. Fabulous. So what I'll do is I'll put the links so people can find those recipes.
Thank you. That's,
and so now, as we are in December,
yes, Christmassy.
yeah, Christmas, exactly. Do you have a favorite Christmas recipe or thing that you like to do that really makes you think, oh yes, now it's Christmas?
I'm probably, it's probably not the most unusual one, but I really do love making the Christmas cake, just for the stir up. I think it's called Stir Up Sunday, isn't it? Or is that
Yes,
Christmas?
yeah, that's right.
We've traditionally sort of always done it at half term. So it's when I've managed to get the children and everybody in the house is actually in the same place at the same time. So we definitely don't stick to one Sunday. I just grab when everybody's there, we do it. So that's my sort of favorite bit, and that makes me think, A, I'm getting ahead, which is probably about the only thing I really do get ahead on. But it makes me feel like I'm organized, and B, it's just quite a sort of nice sentimental thing. Everyone makes a wish or says thank you or whatever, and then your Christmas cake is made. And as I said, I probably don't get organized for anything else, but that's one of my favorite ones, I have to say. Definitely, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, I love doing that too. Yeah, no, it's a lovely, I remember, always takes me back to my childhood. Yeah.
Yes, it's nostalgic. I think that's the thing, is nostalgic, and it's remembering what it's all about. And that's
brilliant. Oh, well, Alex, thank you so much for being here today. It's been so lovely to talk to you, and I've learned a lot about Manuka honey. And yeah, so thank you so much. Have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you very much for having me. And of course, I will be wearing one of your aprons when I'm making my Christmas lunch this year, definitely. But thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm wishing everybody a happy Christmas.
Lovely. Thank you, Alex.
Thanks very much.